Hello, everybody. Most of you don't know me. There's going to be a very limited number of people that do. My name is Carrie, and I've pretty much stayed away from social media most of my life. A little bit of Facebook, and that's where some people might know me. Most people know me one-on-one in person. I'm a very, very personable person, so I prefer to spend time with people. I've been through quite a bit of trauma in the last 3 or 4 years. And throughout that, I became very secluded. And this is right before COVID hit. So, COVID to me was no big deal being quarantined. I had pretty much had to quarantine my life for a number of reasons, which you'll find out in future videos. So, the one thing is you're going to find I'm going to be a complete open book. You're going to get complete honesty. There is a reason for this channel. This is not something I would normally do. I'm not the type of person who's going to just put myself out there. I don't mind being the social butterfly in public settings. I'm not somebody who likes fame and fortune. I also am not a fan of anyone or any particular thing. So, everything is really even keeled with me most of the time. And when I had to go into solitude, hermit status, basically, um, I was running from things. And we all run from things in life at some point in our life, whether it was in our childhood, our teen years, our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, even our 70s. We're running from something at some point. And eventually we stop running. And when we stop running, we grow. And then those are our life experiences. That's where our wisdom comes from. Throughout the course of my 51 years, I am 51 years old, and I'm proud to say it. I have had the agony of having to go through a great number of unbelievable situations where when the last one happened in 2019, I sat and I said, there's got to be a reason so many horrific things happen to one person. And I have found the strength somehow to bounce back every time. This particular time, even though, I was kind of bouncing back on my own, I did find strength through a lot of other people and started really going through my past, which is not a pleasant thing, by the way. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I've gone through it all. And I'm still going through things. I still have lists and lists of stuff that I need to sit down and reflect upon. It might be just one item, but it came to mind, and it means I need to just sit down and go, okay, what was the purpose of that? What did I learn from that? Where's the growth experience? Have I applied it? Is it something that I've missed that I should? And I personally do this. I recommend it for everybody, but I personally do it because I don't want all the bad things that happened to me, which a lot were pretty much just downright nightmares, to reoccur. Or I don't want them to have happened for no reason. I don't want to be that victim. I want to take something from that experience and I want to grow stronger and I want to grow better. I'm going to use that situation to my advantage and let the bad things that happened empower me. And that's the only thing you can do with it. First of all, I'm going to make a disclaimer here. I have very little technical equipment. This is kind of a fly-by-night thing that I'm doing. I'm planning on sticking with it because I have so much written down, so much I've gone through, and I'm going to go through why in just a moment. I am sharing it with you. I mean, it's very personal stuff, but I'm going to share it with the world and encourage you to do the same. Because sometimes we can learn from somebody else's experience without having to actually go through it ourselves. And that is sharing the wisdom of the experience. Not all of us need to have a near death experience to, be able to listen to somebody who has and what they went through and, what their experience was. Now, I'm not saying that they're all the same and that there's some type of spiritual connection to that. There may be, there may not be. But take the little bits that you can relate to and say, huh, that's interesting. And I could apply that to my life, or let me contemplate that. Or, change your perspective on something that you had a hard set opinion on at one point, and you all of a sudden go, you know what? Maybe what is my opinion based on? Why am I so rooted in that? When there's all of this over here that maybe I should be taking into consideration. So, and I'm going to go into deeper what I mean by that in just a moment. But anyway, my fly by night thing. Um, I have very little equipment. Okay, so my lighting is terrible. In the background, you probably hear my refrigerator running. I've been trying to take care of sound things all day to even get the sound to work on here. I only have a webcam, so until I can, make enough money to buy a fancy camera to use, I'm stuck with this. And I haven't gotten my contact lenses yet, so deal with the glasses, even though every once in a while you're probably going to see the reflection of the lights that I have to use because this is later at night. I would prefer to use daylight hours too, but I work about 60, 70 hours a week at my regular job, um, which is very important to me. I've basically worked with the military, for quite some time, whether it be veterans, active, retired, what have you, in the health insurance industry. So it's very important to me to make sure that they're serviced because they're taking care of me in some way, shape, or form. So that's what I do, and my job comes first. After that is, pretty much self reflection time. But what caused me to do this is when COVID hit back in March, I went through this very lonely phase because I had been getting myself out there, meeting people, trying to relate, socialize, do, whatever. And then a lot of things started falling apart again, where there weren't a lot of people to hang out with, and COVID hit. Nobody could do anything, so that all came to a standstill. And through that, my only connection with anyone was through the internet. So I was on Facebook, and I'm planning on reopening my Facebook. There's a whole load of reasons why. In the last year, people that wanted to see me on Facebook couldn't. I deactivated it for a very valid reason, which I'll make a video on, and you'll you'll see why. And you'll go, this is unbelievable that all of this can happen to one person, and it does. I don't know. I'm gonna count them as blessings, I guess. I mean, that's all you can do. Otherwise, you drown in your own sorrow. So, oh, and if you hear a cat meowing or she jumps up here, that's my cat Violet. She's just a godsend to me. She keeps me from being very lonely. But anyway, last in 2020, when everything went down, I just happened to be on Facebook, and this guy's page comes up saying he's going live. And I thought, well, I don't even know who this is. So I don't know if it was like forwarded from somebody else, shared from one of my friends or whatever. And I thought, well, I'm going to click on it. I don't know what this go live thing on Facebook is. So I clicked on it and I watched, and it was really it was in England. Okay. So I was like, oh, cool. Listen to all these people talk in their English accent. And of course, they think I have an accent, but what happened was I just observed and added little comments here and there, and I was just being me, almost like, where we were all in a room socializing, which was really great. And I didn't know anything about this guy. So I go ahead and I try to add him. And after like 2 or 3 of his lives that I saw over the course of a few weeks, he had mentioned, oh, I'm going to add you. I just have so many friends that just haven't gotten around to it yet. I'm like, oh, no big deal, but go ahead. That'd be cool. I'd love to talk to you. And we got talking on a personal level, where he opened up about, his personal life, his work life, his family, his, that he was a musician, just some odd things. I'm not going to just throw his life out there. But we ended up talking about a lot of different situations where he could give me wisdom, I could give him wisdom, and we became really good friends online. And he ended up meeting his girlfriend, through this whole process, and that was very supportive. And she's a wonderful girl. I've kind of become friends with her too. So it's really strange. Well, then through that, I started developing more and more friendships through people from all over, from Germany and Russia and England and Australia, and some in the U.S. But I have found the people in the U.S. here um, are not as friendly. Okay, I don't know how to put this. I think I'm noticing that everyone in the U.S. has a manipulative opinion that motivates them, and we're all riding on some kind of soapbox that we need to get off of, and we need to start opening up our interpretation of perception of things instead of being so stuck in our ways. I don't know. My personal opinion, as they say, don't come for me, okay, is just an observation after having dealt with people from all over the world. Um, and it is through, Facebook, but chatting and messengers and video chats. And so, I mean, this isn't just, sending emails, whatever. I mean, I communicated with people through video chat. So I really wasn't alone. And that was nice. That was really nice. I was at a super down point when that happened. He had some things going on in his life too. And I swear, God connected two people who had the right answers for each other. I'm not saying we got into any kind of relationship or anything. We're just friends. I mean, really, he's like 30 years younger than me, so that's not possible. But I know what people's minds go to, and that's not it. Um, so believe it or not, people can really just be friends. So now, 12 minutes in, and I haven't really told you what this is all about. I've given you a little bit of mystery and intrigue. But what I decided to do was I want to use my story to better other people's lives. And I'm not going to sugarcoat who I am. Okay, there are times I've been a saint, and there have been times I've been a sinner. And I'm going to put it out there. Okay, um, there's times I've done some amazing, wonderful charity work and not slept for days just to make sure the work got done in time, like, for Christmas things for kids, making sure everybody got something, got a gift. And, these were, children whose parents were overseas in the military or in the National Guard. They got called out, so mom or dad wasn't going to be there that Christmas. Or kids that lost a parent due to cancer that year, or families that might have lost someone, and there's children in the home, and those children are still coping with trying to understand those losses, or why can't my parent be here, or children that were in foster care. So I worked with plenty of organizations, organizing a lot of Christmas stuff in my old hometown for those children, and sometimes it meant not sleeping for days to make sure every last detail got done because those children were that important. So yeah, okay, that makes me sound like a saint, right? I also had an affair with a married man, massive sinner. And when I get into that, there's some of you that are just gonna hate me, out and out hate me. I can make all the excuses in the world, and there's some reasons that I will share with you as to explain it. But know this, it never validates it. What I did was wrong. And I have to own that. If I don't own it and I keep making excuses for my behavior as to, okay, well, my second husband tried to kill me, 6 months before that happened. I was desperate for love. There was a shoulder to cry on. Yeah, I can say that, and it's legit. But I have to stop validating it. I have to stop saying that there's a shoulder to cry on. No, I should have been able to find that strength in me. I should not have been out there looking for it in somebody else, especially somebody married. So that's just a brief bit of, I'll go into much more detail in that video. Every concept, every topic is going to have its own video. I'm not here to out anybody else either. There's going to be things that I'm going to bring up. I'm going to use code words if a name needs to be done. If it's friend or family, I probably won't, may not even, unless it's relatable to the story, say a family member or a friend. It'll be a person, okay? Because everyone else has to own their own truth. It is not for me to own it for them. There are some that are specific, like I might say, and unless you know me on a real personal level, you're not going to know I've been married twice, divorced twice. I sound like a real winner, don't I? Anyway, yeah, and it's not all their fault. It's not all their fault, but it wasn't all mine either. Okay, it was a combination of things which I'm going to go into, and the only thing I can do is I can own my part. Okay, I'm not going to throw my ex-husbands under the bus if I don't have to. I mean, unless it was something really tragic, then I'm probably going to bring it up, and it's not up to anyone to judge them either. I'm not going to judge them. It's up to them to own their own part, and they don't even have to own it publicly. All they have to do is own it within themselves and come to terms and take that and become a better person. Okay, I've taken the things I did in those relationships that went wrong, and I'm using those to be a better person. So if by chance I ever get into another relationship, when I go through the online dating videos, which is a whole series on itself, because I'll give you a brief snippet, I did for, I don't know, it's like 4 or 5 months, went to online dating sites. And first I signed up for the free ones. And then I actually invested some money because I'm like, well, these free ones, it's just booty calls. And it pretty much was. But I invested some money, and I talked to 70 men. Okay, I counted it. I think it was 72. I literally counted it. And out of those 72, there's 35 that I spoke to on the phone. So I had a few more conversations with them. Out of those 35, there was about 15 that I agreed to meet. And out of those 15 that I agreed to meet, I dated one for 2 weeks. And that was a disaster. So it's a comedy. It's a complete comedy that I'm going to share with you. I will not out any of these men. So they're safe, and I've always said if I ever date again, it's going to be, you're going to have to go through the elders of my church to get a date with me, because I'm not going through that. And on top of it, if I did do the online thing again, I would probably do it even on this channel, where, I would go through the different people. Who should I meet? Who shouldn't I meet? Maybe take votes, and you guys can add comments and let me know what you think of them, and who I should meet, who I shouldn't. Maybe, I do need, an audience of matchmakers to help me out here. But, anyway, back to, where was I going with this? But so these are just some topics, and there's a lot of great topics. I'm going to go through some of my most embarrassing moments in life, because I don't really think they're embarrassing anymore. I think they're more hilarious. They're going to make me look stupid, but that's okay. I kind of am. Okay, I'm making this channel. I'm out here talking to total strangers all over the world, outing myself and nobody else. So, okay, but I don't think it's stupidity. I think what you're going to find through my growth, maybe some of you can apply to your own lives. And I really am hoping to be able to help people. Now, I write cheat notes because there's always going to be something in one of these videos that I don't want to forget to share with you. So basically, topic number 1, everything happens for a reason. These are the reasons I'm building this channel. Okay, it's not all about me. Well, it is all about me. I'm just that great. No, I'm not. I'm not. Don't. But anyway, everything happens for a reason. I have really found that lesson to lesson, I could see how there was growth. And at times where I didn't grab the lesson from the time before, it came around circle and something similar happened again. And I still did the wrong thing because I didn't focus on um, what I was supposed to learn the first time around. Okay. Um, it's kind of like a guy in a van offering you candy and he kidnaps you. And, um, luckily you're saved, within hours or whatever, nothing bad happens to you. Okay. It's like that. But then all of a sudden, there you see another guy in a van with candy and you go running up to it and you take it. And it's like, well, you're, at that point, because you didn't, learn anything, you keep putting yourself back in these situations. So these situations are going to keep occurring. And I've discovered until you start learning those lessons, and once you start learning the lesson from it, it like goes away. It just doesn't happen again. And this is only because I have really journaled all this stuff and I have gone deep. So I can assure you that everything that happens to us or to the world um, is happening for a reason. And we need to sit down, if it's something bad, sit down and figure out the root of it. What is the root cause of this bad thing happening? And how can we learn something and change from it to not have the bad things happen again? And the same for the good. This great thing happened, to the world or to somebody. How did that great thing happen? And how can we make that happen again? What is the root of that? What did we do right for that reward? So um, it happens. Me making this channel is no mistake. I don't know if anyone's ever even going to watch this, but I'm inclined to do it. I have a great intuition, and it's been pushing me and pushing me and pushing me for about 6 months to do this, and I'm finally sitting down and doing it. This is enough. I've got to get it done. But through that, I've also discovered that suffering has taught me some of the greatest lessons. Um, as I say, if you've ever read the Bible, and you don't have to have read the Bible, to be here. That's not what this is all about. But there is going to be sections on it. Okay, the Bible is extremely important to me, and it wasn't always. Okay, not until July of 2019 did I even pick it up to read it. Okay, so we'll get to my testimony of what caused me to do that. And do not mistake this for being something religious. I'm not religious at all. I do not follow any type of orthodox religion. I follow my instructions in the Bible. And I try to use the Bible as like a life guide for me. Those are people who have been through situations with a higher power. God, I can learn something from them versus having to go through the same lessons and the same punishments. But if you do read the Bible, you will see a lot of suffering. And it seems like God allows the suffering to happen to those he loves the most. Those are the people he wants to get messages through. And I find great solace in that. You don't have to. You don't even have to believe in God. It's your choice. Um, everyone comes to it in their own time. Okay, and if you come to it through this, bless you. I'm so happy for you. Let me know, and if I can be a support, or there's something you read in the Bible you don't understand. I may not understand it either, but I have people I go to and I go to Bible studies that I can get those answers. I can at least ask the questions. I can put you in touch with people who can possibly answer those questions that are much more in depth. I mean, I know people that have studied this since they were 12. So, it's not a religion. It's not, it's just people getting together to study what the Bible is saying and how we're each interpreting it, whether we're applying it to our life, other people's lives. We really don't see the value in it, or we don't understand something. We can find out how somebody else interprets that and where that interpretation is coming from. So then we can choose how we're going to apply that part of the Bible to our life. Okay. It's a very complex book, but it is so worth reading. I always thought it was going to be this religious book and really lame. And oh my gosh, so and so was born to so and so and so and so. Well, there's a whole chapter on that, but there's one chapter out of the entire book. Okay, I mean, if it bothers you that much, skip it. I mean, geez. But there's the stories, the things that I thought I knew. I was just amazed, and I'm going to go through some Bible stories on here that I assure you, if you've never picked up and read the Bible, you've never known these stories were in there, because I was just floored at some of them. I mean, we all know about the Ten Commandments. We all know about the flood and Noah. So Ten Commandments and Moses and Noah and the flood and so on, and Jesus and so on and so on, right? We know the basics. There's so many more that you have no idea, and they're good. It's like, it's a good read. There's drama. There's lots of drama. Okay, and there's, for you guys, there's war and there's fighting, and there's lots of that, lots of it. Which for a while kind of was like a little too much, death and fighting and war. I don't know. This is kind of lowering my morale here, but you get through it, and there's at the end of it, there's at the end of each story, each battle, there is something really amazing to be learned. So I encourage you, you choose what's going to work for you. But this isn't just about religion. It's about a wide variety of things. Well, it's not about religion at all. I'm going to tell you that right now. I won't support a religion. I won't talk about religion. I was born in a religious family, but I'm not, so to speak, religious anymore. I have a Lutheran background, and that was about it. But I'm not anymore. Now it's about the Bible for me, versus an organized group. Being able to perception versus interpretation is something that I'm going to cover very deeply on here. How I perceive different things, but yet that perception doesn't necessarily mean that's how I interpreted it. So I can witness something, for example. Let's say there's a car accident, and I witness that, and I perceive from my angle in my viewing or my life experiences, I perceived something to happen a certain way. And so when I talk to the officer about it, I'm going to report it a certain way. Now that officer is also going to interpret my words in a certain way. Hopefully he's going to almost write them word for word, because that's more of a legal situation. But when you're, for example, talking about, which people do it all the time, talk to their friends or family about you. Okay, so family is a good one. Your brother did something and told you about it, so you go to your mother, and you and your mother are talking about what your brother did, and all of a sudden it becomes this big topic of conversation. Well, there's a way to interpret what the brother did, and you all of a sudden start moralizing it. Was this good? Was this bad? You take like a side to it, which is completely unnecessary. First of all, it doesn't involve you at all. I've had many people, come into my life and go, well, why did you, I'm trying to think of an example offhand. Like, I can't think of one right now, but there will be plenty in the videos, because I've already documented them, and without giving out too many details on some of the upcoming videos, I really can't use any of them as a proper example here. But kind of people, it's okay if people know what's going on in your life and that you should be able to talk to them, but they shouldn't be judging you or perceiving everything you say or do in a bad light because they wouldn't do it. And also, maybe the way you're saying it, they're interpreting it in a way that is not meant to be. So we're going to go through, or I'm going to go through different ways that I've perceived situations, or that others have perceived my situations, and how those were interpreted good or bad, and what some of those outcomes were, without using people's names, outing people. I have found a great way to bring up situations to use as an example. So we can all grow in how we're evaluating things and to grow in less judgment of others. Okay, we really have to stop judging others. It's not our life, it's not our history. For anyone to tell me that, okay, for example, well, you should be a little less paranoid. You don't need an alarm system in your home. Well, somebody tried to murder me. My perception of my safety is going to be a lot different than that other person who's never been harmed a day in their life. Okay? Um, it doesn't mean that I'm like going overboard and I'll never leave my home and I live in a closet because I'm terrified every day. I have an alarm system, so it gives me a sense of security, but I know that's not going to completely keep me safe. Okay? It might give me a warning that I'm in danger, and then what I choose to do with that warning is up to me. We can never count on these other things to protect us, so to speak. We have to have the mindset to protect ourselves within reason. Okay, so I'm hoping to get into some of that, and yes, you will all find out all about the attempted murder. It's definitely going to be a topic um, limited to, can't give you all the details, but it's something that, a journey I want to share with people, because what happened to me never should have happened in a million years to anybody. And it's something that is seriously an ongoing thing. When it happened to me, I started doing more research, and the number of women this has happened to is, especially in the last like 10, 20 years, is remarkably crazy. It's growing out of control, and there's a part of why it's growing out of control, and I'll share my viewpoints with you. They're just my viewpoints. Everybody has a right to their own, and at any point in time you want to challenge me, by all means comment on my videos. I want to hear other people's points of view. It's the only way I can grow and become a better person. However, if all you're going to do is bash other people and spread negativity, those comments will be removed, or I'll just shut comments off, because that's not what this is about. This is about taking bad things, or even good things. I'm taking good experiences too, and I'm sharing them so that we can all share in the joy. And there's some bits that I've even got some comedy routines, which, are put together, some comedy skits. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a techie, so I can't do all of these videos. It's pretty much just going to be me talking until somebody out there who knows what kind of tech equipment I even need. Like I said, I'm using a webcam, a camera, something like that would be great. But what do I do? What do I need? I had a heck of a time just getting sound. So, any advice would be absolutely fabulous, especially from other YouTubers. We're at 30 minutes already, so I think I've pretty much described a lot of what I'm going to go through. But some sidebar notes that I wanted to share with you guys is, things that I wrote down is, I can't control what others do, but I can own my part in every situation, even when it appears I'm the victim. So even when the bad thing has happened to me and I'm the victim of it, where's my learning lesson? I wasn't perfect. If I was so perfect, I wouldn't have been the victim. I wouldn't have put myself in that situation. Now, not all victims put themselves in a situation. I'm not saying that. I'm using that as an example. What I'm saying is, no matter what, there's something, even when the situation is out of your control, that you can look at in that, instead of focusing on what the other people did, because that will bring us down, and that tears apart our self-esteem and our self-worth. Instead, look at where you can grow from it, okay? Instead of just the bad that happened. And then use that every day to rebuild yourself from whatever you've been through. Because I know some people have been through, pure hell. They're probably worse than me. I mean, I think, this is what I've been through is terrible, but I would bet you there's people out there that have been through things worse than me, and I want to talk to those people. Those are the people I want them to share their stories too. I want to be able to, there's a section on this channel that's going to be called We the People. And so it's not about me, it's about we. And we are the people. And maybe we're not the government, but we are the people, and we could be people helping people. Maybe we don't have the money to help people. Maybe we live too far away to help somebody. There's no reason that people overseas can't help others. The young guy in England helped me immensely get through a really depressing time, which was just so wonderful. Why? He shared a little bit of time and he shared a little bit of his life with me. That's all it took. It was that simple to start bouncing me back a little bit and getting me to believe in myself again, where I had lost all faith in myself. So it can happen, and I would love to interview people that are willing to really up about their situation. But if you're going to open up about it, I don't want you throwing anyone under the bus, and I want to hear what you learned on a personal level for yourself. Okay, that's what those interviews are pretty much going to be about, and we can learn from each other. So either you don't experience it, or if you ever do, there's something that you can get out of it. I pretty much just covered that. Building balance, a sense of morality back in the world by us owning our truth and putting your truth out there. Um, it's embarrassing. It's humiliating to have to, say, I did these terrible things. I was this terrible person. I might still be, a part of me might still be that terrible person. I don't know till the next time it comes along if I'm going to have the strength to beat it. It's like somebody who's an alcoholic or a drug addict or a gambler or a sex addict. They can fight it and they can fight it and they can fight it and they can go into rehab and they can heal and they can be better and they can be strong. But when all of a sudden they're faced with those situations, and maybe the first time they're strong enough to get past it, and the second time they could get weaker and weaker and weaker if they don't continue to build on their strength. If all of a sudden one day they go, well, I'm strong enough, that situation's over, I'm good. The 10th time they go to an event where there's alcohol, for example, an alcoholic, what's to say that all of a sudden they're not going to slide and drink? And go, well, I can have one. It's been years since I've had one. I'll be fine. Problem with an alcoholic is one is never enough. One is the beginning of the end. So you start losing your strength. You lose your morals. You fall apart if you don't have that system in place at all times, every day of your life, unfortunately. And I'm an addict of something. It's not alcohol or drugs. And I'll share it with you. But or gambling. I'm not a gambler, so okay. I I enjoy the company of men. I did. I did enjoy the company of men. um, Not like porn, anything like that. That That's pretty boring to me. It's more my addiction though, which I'm gonna go into deeper details with, came from a lot of lack of self-worth and being wanted and loved. And the only time I ever felt that um, from a child on was in a sexual way. And then there were reasons why I attribute some bad things that had happened that caused me to look at sex as less than a loving act. So I'm going to go a little deeper into that without going too deep, but just to explain kind of a little background. And it took a lot of therapy to realize why I gravitated towards that. Like, what is it actually about it, you know, um, that is causing me to desire and want and need that to feel fulfilled. And I'm proud to say I'm at a point where it's been years. I'm probably going on no, not years, probably going on a year and a half, since, yeah, I've been with a man. So, in that way. So, it's, it's still a growth process. It's still something, I have to get control of. But, it doesn't mean that I won't fall off the wagon and all of a sudden say, I just want to have a one night stand, and that was me. One night stand was fine. I didn't go out looking for relationships. I didn't want them. I didn't want them around all the time. I just wanted them around when I needed fulfillment. That was it. Which is not good. I wouldn't say that in my marriages. Okay, that was like between marriages, before, after. I gravitated towards that, as my one thing. But there, I'll go into a lot more about how I got through it, what took me to it and through it. So, there are parts of this that it's about building our morals, and I really had to straighten out and start living more of a moral life, developing a moral fiber, because I was out of control in ways in that way. But I am very helpful in helping others deal with their suffering, their pain, emotional hardship, depression, um, by owning the truth and by working on ourselves. Okay, to get through these things and not get stuck in them like quicksand. Which, I mean, depression, for example, I've been through it. It's a quicksand that will take you down so fast and you can't get out of it. I had doctors gave me meds, didn't do a thing, didn't do a thing. I still cried endless hours every day, and they gave me the strongest of the strongest, and it didn't do anything for me. I was stuck in this place of feeling unwanted, unneeded, alone. Oh, I'll go in it when I get to the depression video. And a lot of you are probably going to be able to relate, because depression is a very rising thing, and it's being diagnosed more and more, only because we're going through longer bouts of it. A lot of times, depression can only last a day or two. You're sad, you get over it. I'm talking about long-standing depression that just lasts for days, weeks, months. You just can't get out of it. It's like a slow death in a way. And, I believe that if we work on our truth, we work on owning different things, and we work on ourselves, we can start pulling ourselves out of that, because it gives us something to challenge ourselves with. And the truth also sets you free. It does. Sometimes you get that truth out there, and no matter what judgment you get from it, you're free. You admitted you're wrong. What you did is it's like going to Jesus and repenting for your sins and saying, hey, only I'm doing it in a public forum. If I can do this in a public forum, people can sit down and take a little time to look at their own lives. Even if you just are truthful with yourself, that's good. If you want to go and repent to Jesus when you find these truths, that's great. But facing them and owning them, that's the only way you're ever going to work on yourself. And, it's all about the truth. But primary reason I'm building this is so that nobody feels alone. I don't want anyone out there to feel like they're alone. Even though I may not have been through your situation, that's why I want to hear from you. I want to hear your situation. I want to hear the good things too, though. There's things like love stories. How did people meet? I mean, I heard the most amazing one the other day, which I'm sharing in a video, and it was just through work. I work customer service, in the medical field, and I was talking to this lady, about something over the phone, and I had to do some research. While I'm doing the research, me and her had this conversation about how, she met her husband. They've only been together for 3 years. They're older. And the most amazing story, which I'm going to share tidbits of it without giving too much away, but I was so happy she shared that with me. And, she's not a coworker. She was somebody calling in for help. And it was great. She helped me as I helped her. And that's how the world works. If we can open up, if we're willing to talk to each other, if we're not being sticks in the mud or thinking we're better than each other, because you know what? I don't care how much money you got, and I don't care if you're homeless. You're on the same level with me, okay? I went through a period not long ago where financially I thought, I'm going to be homeless. I don't see how this is going to work. I wasn't, I was working a 40-hour a week job, but then overtime came in. And I ended up getting enough overtime where it was grueling to work the hours, but I made just enough money to get myself through. And that's where I say God provides. I prayed. All I had left was prayers. There was nothing I could do. It even came to the point where I said, God, I don't know about the homeless. Do they sleep on park benches in the park? Do they, like, what? Where do I go around here if I'm homeless? I mean, I didn't even know my first step would be a backpack, I guess. I didn't. I was homeless when I was 19 at one point, um, and lived out of my vehicle for a few days till somebody off the street, which this is another story I'm going to share. When a kid off the street took me home to his family, and I had known him for a little bit, him and his girlfriend, and his family was remodeling their home, and they let me stay there. And that was a remarkable miracle, too. I didn't know where I was going to go, what I was going to do. And so I felt that coming on again. Well, I've got another video I'm going to share with you about the homeless here. Because as I prayed, um, even though my miracle came through and I was able to get financially through that hardship by working hard, based on a gift I was given by God, um, I also had a person come into my life that was helping somebody who was homeless. And I had to go to this location with some other people to meet this homeless person to try to help them. And I met all kinds of homeless people. And I went there several times. And we got to know each other really well. And I sat for a moment there because this was before my miracle came in, right before my overtime came in. I said, okay, God, I've come to terms with this. You took me to where the homeless live now, so you must be planning on making me homeless. I've come to terms with it. I accept it. If that's what happens, that's what happens. They're not all bad people, and I'm not so scared anymore. I lost my fear of it once I got to know these homeless people, and it was a whole different world that my internal thoughts were, oh, they're all taking drugs and they're all alcoholics. No, I'm not gonna lie. There was people taking drugs and there were alcoholics. Doesn't mean they were bad people. I know all kinds of people. I know very few people that don't have those types of addictions, out of quite a few people. And it's sad to say, but it doesn't make them a bad person. Their choices and their decisions are what make them a bad person. Um, that is a choice and a decision that they've made, but their actions after that are what they have to control. So, these homeless people were fabulous. I've even said I have these board games and nobody to play them with. I always said I used to play them by myself, but I always win. So what's the fun, right? There's no strategy. There's no challenge. You always win. So of course I don't play them. So, but I said one of these days I'm going to take some board games down to where the homeless hang out, which isn't a shelter. These are homeless that there's a shelter in town, but they won't even go there because they can't. They're drunk or on drugs to the point where they can't even go to the shelter. And these are the people that I met. Right? I saw where they sleep, where they live, how they function, how they get through. Um, Mostly men, a couple women, and you know, I said I'd love to take board games down there and just sit there all day on a Saturday afternoon and play with them. Just spend time with them, be with them. They don't have that. And it doesn't mean that it's going to change their life, but it means I tried. I tried to bring a smile to one of their faces. If I can accomplish that, that's a goal. Then you meet the next goal. Don't be afraid of your homeless people. And they're not all homeless because they choose to be. I did meet a homeless guy that down in his luck, lost his job, lost his family, um, couldn't, afford to pay child support and all those other things, that he ended up becoming homeless. I mean, he had to basically give up all of his rights, his life, his home, everything. He didn't ask for that. He just got into a financial situation that he couldn't get out of. And he was a passing homeless person, so it wasn't like he sticks in one town. He's still traveling, he's still trying, and I want to talk to those people too. I don't know if they'll ever see any of this, but they're important, and it's important to know them, and it's important to know their history and not blame them for how they got where they are. For example, someone who takes drugs, you don't know how they got there. You don't know what caused them to take that first drug. We want to judge, and they're performing criminal activity. Yeah, they need to be arrested. It needs to stop. But we can't keep judging each other as, oh, you must be bad. Not until you get to know them. I had somebody once, an ex-family member, that on Facebook posted, there was this beautiful, it was beautiful. It was about homeless people. Instead of giving them money, give them a job. Let them mow your lawn. Let them blah, blah, blah. And this person I knew it was a female with small children. And I reached out and I says, well, this is great, but the reality of you post something like this, you better be able to stand behind it. If you're going to say that you stand for an opinion that they shouldn't be given food or money, instead make them work for it and give them work to do, then are you going into town, picking them up, bringing them out to mow your lawn? You have acres of lawn. I'm sure they would do it. But I know she's not going to take them out to where her small children are, because she's afraid. She doesn't know why they're homeless, and she's putting her children at risk. So I called her out on it, because I says, I didn't feel it was appropriate to post something like that if you can't stand behind it. And of course, that caused a lot of drama. But I am a person like that. What you say, you should be able to back up. If you say it or you're going to post it, you better do it. Okay? Because it's great that we have all of these wonderful quotes, and these wonderful sayings, and we have these terrific ideas. But if nobody does them, what good are they? They just sit there, and we live in some fairy tale land that somebody out there must be giving this person a job. No, we're all just posting it to make each other feel better, or to say, I got the solution, but then nobody does it. So there's going to be videos where I'm right out there going, either we do something about it or we stop complaining, because enough is enough. And I don't even watch the news or anything like that. I couldn't even tell you what's happening in the world. In all honesty, I couldn't, because except, people tell me COVID's coming back. But, and when there's rules, it's because, like, I go to the store and I see there's stuff posted on the door, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I have to do this, so that's what I'll do. That's how I find out. I don't watch the news, and I don't spend a lot of time on the internet either. Believe it or not, this is probably the most time I'm spending on the internet right now. But overall, there's going to be people that are going to post things, and most likely from my past. They stalk me on a regular basis. Family and friends that are very concerned about some of the things I could say. But again, I will repeat myself. I am not here to out any of you. I am here to own my truth. May I suggest, if you are that concerned, that you need to know what I'm doing all the time, whether it be in person or on social media, or who I'm talking to, or who my friends are, then I suggest you start owning your own truth. Because there's a deeper issue there, then, nobody needs to know what anybody, you could be married to somebody and you don't even need to know what they're doing 24/7 or who they're all talking to. Okay. There's a level of trust that has to be earned in a marriage. And I just, I have some people, and I'm not even, this is my first YouTube video, that feel the need to know everything. And, well, they want to know everything. Here's everything. They can watch this, but they may comment things out here. And basically, what I want to say is, I'm not who people will say I am or perceive I am. That's their perception, that's their interpretation. I am who I am. And I will own things and I will call out liars. Okay? You're going to get honesty. You're going to get blunt truth, even if it means me having to own something that's absolutely horrific. If it's something maybe I forgot, even haven't put in a video because maybe it was so bad I blinded my own memory. I don't know. But if I did it, I'm going to own it. I sure as heck would. It's part of my life. Even if there's a penalty to it, then it needs to be owned. Just the truth. If more people told the truth, what a world we'd live in. Our justice system might actually be fair if more people told the truth. That's right there what it boils down to. We can blame the justice system, we can blame the police, we can blame everyone in the world, the criminals, but it's all because nobody's telling the truth. And when you don't have the truth, it's very hard to judge something. It's real hard to make rules and say, how things should operate, because you have to build all these rules around lies and lies and lies that, how some of these people tell so many lies that they build themselves such a web of deceit and actually continue on. I don't know. I know I don't want that headache. I would never want to have to deal with that. So I'm blunt and I'm honest, and you are going to love me or you're going to hate me. That's the way it is. Hey, that's life, right? But anyway, I'm going to take you through my journey, through all my life lessons, how I went from being a victim to a survivor, and now, in all honesty, I'm a thriver. I'm no longer a survivor. I don't call myself a survivor of what I've been through. I'm a thriver. I have taken that situation, and I am stronger than a lot of other people because I went through that. So I'm not going to be the victim. I'm not going to be the survivor. I'm going to be the thriver. And I want to see more people dig themselves out of those holes and start thriving. And though it seems, if you're watching this and you've gone through a lot and if life feels hopeless, okay, that was it. I was hopeless. There was no hope. There was nothing to look forward to. Nothing. And the things that did give me some solace and peace and happiness, for example, pets were killed. And I had to live with the fact that maybe if I went to run away, I could have gotten them safe. I'd be dead. I feel like I abandoned them. And that's a survivor's guilt, even with an animal. In this case, it was several animals. But when you have people coming after you, they're going to take anything that means something to you to hurt you. And that's what they tried to do. And I'm not going to say that my thriving means all my pain is gone. Pain will always be a part of your life. You will shed some tears, and it's okay to do that. But know that you also can't change those circumstances. But I let all of that make me hopeless. And that meant they won. And I finally got my head straight. And I said, no, nobody's winning this. There is no winner here. There's nothing to win. And I just rebuilt my life. Went through all the hardships by myself, alone, and I said, come and get me. I'm not hiding anymore. And I became a thriver, and I changed my life, and I quit being afraid. Um, but that doesn't mean that there isn't like some PTSD. There isn't stuff, and I'm going to be going through that, and how I cope with it, and how I deal with it, and how I came around to realize what it was. Because there can be people out there that are going through it. Like, for example, narcissism. I didn't know anything about it until all of a sudden I started watching a couple videos on it, and then I read some articles on it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can relate to that, in several different people that were in my life, and it started making sense as to why certain things ended up happening to me, because of some narcissists that were in my life. So, I'll go through those too, and until we come across that, and maybe somebody who's watching this can relate and this can help them, God Almighty, thank you. Even if one human being is helped, or one human being picks up a Bible and reads it, because I suggested it, you know what, putting my entire life out there was worth it for one person. That's how much I value everybody in this world, good and bad. Okay. Anyway, we're at an hour, so I really gotta get this done. One thing about loneliness that I want to mention that I'm going to go through is I discovered my loneliness was more like coveting. I was coveting other people's relationships, other people's friendships, the things other people were doing. I'm like, well, why can't I? It made me lonelier and lonelier because I coveted it. I wanted it. But yet, I didn't want to take the step out to make it happen. So I kept myself in my own loneliness, but yet my own sorrow because I was coveting something that I wanted that I wouldn't go out and get. So that's kind of like loving and wanting a Lamborghini and then just crying every time you see one, going, I'll never have it. Well, either you work your butt off and you spend every last penny you have buying a Lamborghini, or you get over it and say, oh, I'm never going to own one, but it's a beautiful vehicle. Okay. I can deal with that. I can live with that, and be blessed with, look, I just saw a Lamborghini. That's cool. To take the little things and make them your blessings. Okay. But loneliness for me was a lot of coveting. And I don't know what it's like for everybody else, but I would love to know. I want you to comment. I want you to tell me. Another big issue is stopping the blame game. I'm going to practice what I preach. I'm going to own my stuff. And I'm going to stop the blame game. Did someone try to murder me? Yep. Do I think it's all his fault? Nope. Do I think maybe I could have done some things in life differently that could have changed the outcome of that? Yep. All I can do is fix myself. I can't fix anybody else. Nobody can fix somebody else. A heart surgeon can fix a heart, but he can't make it beat again. It's the person has to make it beat again. Okay? We can't fix each other with some magic pill. There's no, I'm not a doctor, and I definitely encourage everyone to seek medical assistance if you have some kind of physical or mental illness, or too much extreme pain or depression or PTSD, or whatever. You may not even realize you have these things. But as I'm going through some of this, and if you're feeling some of these things, I do encourage you to seek out medical guidance. I did. Did it work for me? No, not therapy didn't work for me. That's what didn't work. Okay. Um, Therapy with the magic pills, didn't work. Therapy worked, but here's the kicker. I was in therapy and taking um, drugs for depression for quite some time, and it wasn't working for a few months. And I sought out my pastor. Um, the person who's my pastor now wasn't at the time. And him and his wife counseled me. And I'm going to tell you why. I wasn't, um, I wouldn't say, I mean, I believed in God. And I knew who Jesus was and believed in him, but I didn't accept the whole thing. For me, and this is part of my testimony, and I'll go through the whole thing in a later video. But for me, the Bible initially was like a Greek myth. Fabulous story. Great morals. Things we can learn from. But I don't think it's true. You're going to find out why I've changed my mind. And it was divine intervention. It was an act of God that caused me to change my mind. And I'll tell you what, I can be so headstrong and stubborn that if it wasn't an act of God, I wouldn't have. There's no way. I pushed and pushed and pushed away from God in the Bible for a long time. Denied him, denied it, said it was just a fable. Till God acted in my life. And there's no doubt about it in me. And that helped me. So sometimes it's not going to therapy. Sometimes it is seeking unconventional ways, like, a pastor, a church. If that's what helps you, you go for it. Find out what's going to help heal you. Maybe you won't even realize you have something wrong until you read these. But if you do know that you have symptoms and you do know you're suffering from something, continue to seek the medical guidance. Okay. I don't want anybody left out there untreated. And I don't want anybody to think that I can fix them. Oh, my YouTube videos are going to fix you. They're not. Okay. But we are people helping people get through this really rough journey of life together. And sometimes it just means a helping hand, a kind word, being able to share a story or an experience, being able to grow from somebody else's experience. Sometimes that's all it takes. It can be that simple. But I'm not talking about major health fixes. Those need, further guidance. Anyway, to close this out, I just want to give you a header of some topics. I've kind of given you, I think, a really good idea where we're going with this. Some topics I am going to cover is bullying, rape, my marriages, my divorces, physical abuse, mental abuse, narcissism, my failures, forgiveness, healing, depression, death, health issues, mental issues, anorexia, attempted suicide, life, all my life lessons that I can recount at this point. I'm sure there's plenty more to learn. Dating, my own personal growth, the attempted murder, my embarrassing moments, how I took my life back. And I'm going to share the Bible with you. This channel is going to be separated into different topics. If there's one topic you can learn something from, but another you're offended with, just don't go to the one you're offended with. Okay? For example, you don't believe in God or the Bible, don't go to those topics. But if you think I'm not going to mention God, it's part of my life. Okay? I'm going to bring it up. You don't have to be offended by it. Okay? I'm not going to tell you you have to believe. Everyone comes to their own final decision at their own time. And I'm not here to shove it down your throat. But if you have any curiosity about it, explore it. Just watch the videos, listen to what's being said, read the comments. There's no harm. No harm, no foul. Okay? But overall, we are the people. I want to do interviews to get to know other people and get those people to be willing to share their story on my channel through an interview section. So if you are one of those people that would like to be interviewed, I encourage you to reach out. My email is hopefully going to be in the below. Don't send me any attachments. I won't open them. And I don't open attachments. So it has to be words only. But we can, definitely connect. I'm going to be reopening my Facebook soon and starting a Facebook page for this page. Okay. So we can always connect through there as well. I want us to be able to learn lessons from each other and to spread the word through our truth. Um, let's be people helping people, okay? Instead of people tossing other people under the bus, people judging, people having too many opposing opinions. Let's learn to accept each other. Okay, we're all different, and that's fabulous. We should be. Let's learn to accept each other. There's certain things we can't accept. Crimes, no, they're not acceptable. I'm sorry, but um, there's a lot that people are out there judging and tearing people and shredding them apart. For the forgive me for saying it this way, but the dumbest things, and it's uncalled for. I don't know where all of this aggression is even coming from in society. It's a little out of control, and we need to get grounded and get centered and get back to what's real, and stop thinking that we're all God. Because I know a lot of people that have been playing God lately, and they need to stop. They're not. Okay, start accepting everybody for who they are. Okay, my closing, and you're going to hear this motto all the time, and I swear I'm going to get a t-shirt made with it and wear it everywhere. This is my thing, is, and I came up with this for myself: own your truth before the truth owns you. Because one day, that truth will own you. And it's going to be a lot harder to deal with than if you just owned it up front. That's my word of wisdom for you there. And I always close. I will close every video. If this is where, you get offended, turn off. Don't care. Your time here, your part of the video is done. But I will always change it with something from the Bible that is inspirational to me. So today I'm closing this with Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, which I think is very fitting. It says, "And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up." Right there. Bible tells us not to give up. It's going to be a lot of hard work. There's been a lot of effort. Eventually, you will reap the harvest. Just don't quit. We're not quitters. We're not survivors. We're thrivers. And right there is where, I don't care if you don't believe in God, there is so much good in this book that I do ask you, I beseech of you, pick it up. Read a copy of the Bible for change. They're everywhere. It's the most sold book in the world. Every country. So, well, that I know of anyway. But keep in mind, it's banned in many. There's a lot of countries. I think China is one where you might be able to get arrested if you have a Bible on you. I don't know how the rules all work there, but I know they're completely against Christianity. So that's billions of people right there that aren't even allowed to know what's in that book. Don't take advantage of the freedom and the opportunity you have to pick it up and read it. It's a good read. It really is. Anyway, I will do my final close with own your truth before the truth owns you. And I hope to see you, and interact with you. Bring your friends, bring your family, subscribe, definitely comment. Commenting is probably how we're going to get to know each other And, if you have topics that you want me to discuss, it could be a topic I haven't even thought of yet. I mean, I just gave you some examples, but give me topics, give me things you want to know about me. Um, Open book. I'll make a video and tell you. I mean, it's that simple. But if you want to share an experience with people, yeah, use the comments to do that. And let's all support each other. This is about support, not negativity. Okay, I won't tolerate it. You'll be blocked, banned, removed, whatever. I'm not, we're not going to be a bunch of bullies behind screens here. Okay, um, I guess goodbye for now. I hope to talk to y'all soon.